Well, hello, family. How are you doing? Welcome back to the Isabella Banks YouTube channel. I'm Wizzy, and as always, it's a pleasure to be here with you this evening. Oh my goodness, the drama surrounding the implosion of Sentebale is still ongoing. Both sides are bitter, unhappy, and it's all playing out in front of the media. Do you know, that's the very worst thing. I really wish it was all happening in house, but somehow I think on the other hand, when I look at it, maybe it's okay. It's happening in house because when you're about to be delivered something, you're aware of it, or that's what people say anyway. Anyway, it seems like the story that Sophie was trying to spin is spinning. It's not holding on. It's not holding up very well. Even the Daily Mail, yep, the messiest member of the British media crew that we all know hates Harry and Meghan, has all but called her a liar in their recent article. Now, you know, the Daily Mail would have looked for any way to spin it, to make it look as though Harry has done something wrong, but they cannot find anything wrong with anything Harry has done. And so they have no choice but to say it like it is, especially in a case that is as rancorous as this one, where the parties involved in the dispute are unhappy. It would be very, very dangerous, I would say, for them to misrepresent the story in black and white, because this is a matter over which Prince Harry would undoubtedly litigate if needed. So I think they're being very careful and haven't assessed the situation with the facts on the ground at the moment. They have no choice but to literally say, Sophie said this, but we can find no evidence of all the claims that she's making. Anyway, let's not waste any time. Grab your tea, heck, a whole bottle of wine, and let's dive right into the madness, shall we? Okay, so according to the Times, have you guys seen the Times article? It's a good one, actually. It's one of the best I have seen from the Murdoch empire regarding anything that has to do with Prince Harry. So, according to the Times, a former trustee, that's the guy on the screen at the moment, he said that the drama has been brewing ever since Sophie was appointed chairperson. I think until we saw Sophie in, where did we see her? I think I first became aware of her when I started seeing her at the polo tournaments and so on. We didn't realize that Sophie has actually been part of the team since 2009, I think, if I'm correct. If I'm not correct, can someone in the chat correct me? But from what I have been seeing, she has been part of the team since 2009. And um, but only recently was she appointed chairperson. And since she was appointed chairperson, the tension has been thick because Sophie has been trying to take them to directions that they were not ready to go to. And then she convinced them she could fundraise. And the trustees, they weren't really sold, but they gave her a shot. And money was spent on consultants, like over £500,000. Like that's almost a million, £500,000. That's a lot of money by any stretch of the imagination. That's a lot of money. She spent it on consultants who were going to advise them on fundraising, but um, the funds it themselves barely trickled in, and the board started side eyeing her. Um, but this ultimate slap came when the Sentebale annual charity polo event fell through because they lost their sponsor, which has not happened to them before. And that was when the board of trustees were like, losing our major sponsor, because through this sponsor, they have made up to $12 million. And now we're realizing that the polo matches, as a matter of fact, were the major fundraising event of Sentebale, and she lost their sponsor for the event. So they couldn't hold it when they were supposed to have it last year. So this is so far, this is what they are saying is the major reason for the collapse of the leadership in Sentebale at the moment. So this guy on the screen, Dr. Lerotoli, he's like the voice of reason at the moment, and he's also acting as the spokesperson. Well, should I say unofficially the spokesperson for the board of trustees. And he's like that friend who says, girl, maybe it's not them, maybe it's you. Because he says he's baffled. Harassment, racism, misogyny, misogynoir. I mean, did she just pull out the whole oppression starter pack? Honestly, because she left nothing out. Bullying, harassment, racism, misogyny, misogynoir. Like, what the hell? Um, he says that it has never been like that. There have been no put downs, no shades, just business meetings. Maybe a bit of shouting because sometimes people confuse passion for aggression. But anyone who's had to explain why pineapple doesn't belong on pizza knows exactly what that's like. And also, when you've been in a team for a long time and you're all passionate about this thing that you all are doing together, when you want to put your point of view across and you get passionate about it, there is every tendency that people lose their rag and they begin to scream, 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 scream. It's not exactly the best thing to do, but we all know that it happens. Um, and Sophie decided to take it to a place where it didn't need to go to. I think she completely forgot herself. But anyway, let me continue. So Sophie apparently tried to take it to the High Court. She wanted to block the trustees from removing her, but the court was like, girl, we're not doing this today. No injunction, no grand showdown, just a lot of legal fees and wasted time. And in true messy fashion, Sophie ran to the press, making comments about people who think they're above the law. Imagine Sophie. Imagine Sophie talking about people who think that they're above the law. Now, I'm not saying she was talking about Prince Harry, but that subtext was louder than a royal wedding choir. Meanwhile, Harry and Seeiso were like, you know what? We're out. And as you know, they have said with heavy hearts they resigned as patrons. And honestly, without the princes, what is Sentebale? The thing is, I don't know whether she got caught up in her ego, because she's clearly not thinking clearly, because Sentebale in itself, the two princes have famously said that they started it in remembrance of their mothers. So if you're taking over somebody's charity, just because actually, and sometimes I like to put myself in the shoes of the people I'm talking about. So Let's assume that I wanted to start a charity in memory of my father because of XYZ reason. Maybe he loved the town of the people where he came from, and he wanted to support the children in the town where he came from. And then somebody is brought onto the team because the charity is doing well, is linked to very high profile people. And then the next thing you know, you give the person the opportunity to become the chair. That is the person who is actually, you know, putting forward suggestions, corralling all the efforts of everybody who is on the team, making sure we hit our goals and objectives for the year. And the person now begins to push you outside of your set goals for when you started the charity in the first place. The person is now trying to push you out of the reason why you started the charity in the first place, because they started it mainly to support the children who are suffering from HIV in Lesotho. And then Sophie comes in and she says, well, okay, there's issues of the commercial interests of the young men and women of the town. There's issues of the climate change should also be part of the objectives. So I think because actually, when I was looking at the press reporting from when Prince Harry went to Lesotho after his stint with the UN, I saw the long list of things that they were doing. I was like, this is new. And how are you? A few of the things that they listed that they're now doing don't relate to each other. And you still got a small team. It's still a relatively small team. They still only got about 8 or 9 trustees. In order for you to achieve these goals at the standard and the level at which you're talking about, you have to have a huge team. It has to be a whole huge team. It can't even be this small thing. When I saw that they were then doing the expansion into fundraising into America, I thought, okay, maybe that's the reason why they are doing the fundraising in America. Remember that ACT exhibition that they had in New York? And also the gentleman who came to New York went to Lesotho as well when they did the anniversary activity. So I thought, okay, maybe this is the direction they're going to. But we can clearly see that what was happening was that she was trying to push them in every direction, whereas the charity itself, it had a set direction from its inception. And I don't think that Harry and Prince Seeiso wanted to go outside of that really. But let it not look as if they are trying to shut people's ideas down. They allowed her to come in, offer her ideas. After all, before you know it, she could turn around and say, well, I'm supposed to be part of the team, and every time I suggest something, you shut me down. And the next thing you know, she comes up with these ideas which are taking them all outside of their own primary focus. They just want the children in Lesotho to be good. And Sophie is here talking about climate change. What climate change are you talking about? And then anyway, let me continue. Before I continue, if this is your first time on this channel, welcome. Take a moment to hit that subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, and leave your thoughts in the comment section below. I would love to hear from you. If you have visited before but you haven't subscribed, let today be the day. Jump out of the undecided gang and join the subscribed gang, where we get up, we do stuff. We don't just listen to videos on this channel. We get up, we do stuff, some activism stuff. Sometimes we do some quizzes. So it's fun over here. Thank you to all those who have been with me from the beginning. Thank you, thank you, thank you. As you are listening to me now, don't forget to hit the like button. Please do it now. No. And share your thoughts in the comment section below. All right, so let's continue. It's a whole thing, this thing. And Sophie, it looks like she has been waiting for this opportunity. Is this thing that happened wasn't random? There's no way you can convince me now that it was random, because Sophie has already gone ahead to appoint new members on the board. These are the list of the new members she's got. There are four other trustees who she has gotten to replace the ones who resigned, and she has submitted the names to um, the charity commission. Also, just going back to the photograph of Sophie for a second. Actually, maybe I should wait until I get to that part of it. Okay, let's do this. Um, because I was just thinking about was how the Daily Mail inserted Meghan into this story. It has Sentebale has nothing to do with Meghan. She does not. She doesn't even appear at the Sentebale event as much as she does for Invictus. But somehow, every story has to be about Meghan. Somehow they managed to pull her in. They managed to pull her in to this story about the breakdown in the relationship between Prince Harry and Sophie. So, what am I talking about here? Okay, so there was this story going around that during the last year polo tournament that Meghan pushed Sophie out of the way. Whereas if you actually see the way Sophie is positioned, you could actually see that Meghan was telling her to come to the side because she was not even being seen in the photograph. Like you could only see one side of her profile, and she was asking her to be seen. But actually, the fact that they keep bringing this story up just lit a light bulb in my brain. If my thinking is correct that she is actually a plant, apart from the fact that she has done this now, what would make her a successful plant? Think about it. If they are claiming that Meghan was uncomfortable with her, why do they think that Meghan would be uncomfortable with her? I tell you why. She was indeed a plant. Look at the two women. They are quite close in height. They are both black, even though they're different shades of black, but they're both black. They're both well educated. So they probably thought, okay, we are going to set Harry up with a honey trap. But the thing is, I don't think it worked. And I think that if we had the opportunity to ask Harry any questions, there would be a story of Sophie trying to seduce Harry. There would be a story of Sophie trying to seduce Harry. Look at all the clothes that she wears. It's all very form fitting. It's all very, she's always glued to Harry's side in every photograph. It's almost like Harry is the only person there and she has to be the one by his side. I might be wrong. I might be just, projecting because, this is all about my guy, Prince Harry. But I was just suddenly struck when I looked at this photograph of them standing side by side, and I thought, why would they think that Meghan will have a problem with her? Like, Meghan wouldn't have a problem with her because she's already sure of Harry, so that's not even part of the equation. But why would they think that Meghan would have a problem with her? And I saw it. They're close in height. They actually planted her close to Harry to try and see if they could trap him with a honeypot type of lady. In those spy movies, they would trap their target with this lady of with proportions that they think that the man would like, in order to get him to compromise himself, and then they will use that against him. And I think she tried to get Harry that way and it didn't work. This is my thought, that she tried to get Harry that way and it didn't work because they put someone who has similar qualifications to Meghan close to him, but I don't think he even saw her. I don't think he even saw her. I don't think he even saw her. Like, I think it would have even gone over his head. Meghan might have had inklings of it, but Harry and Meghan are so strong together that I think it would have mostly gone over their heads because they're just in their own world. But this is what I think. Look at it. If you look at it, maybe am I seeing things? But tell me in the comments what you think. But this is it. Just suddenly struck me that this is the reason why they think that Meghan would have had a problem with her, that Meghan would be threatened by her. And to that, I would say, if I was Meghan, I would be like, you don't even know what time I'm on. You don't even know what time I'm on. Oh my goodness. She was planted there to try and get him. And failing that, she unfortunately, they didn't pick up on her intentions quick enough. She was now in a position where she could do what she has done. And I think they are trying this for all of Prince Harry's charities as well. And I think this is the reason why we are seeing that the Invictus Games came to the UK in their last selection. I'm happy the way it did come to the UK, not because I think that the UK deserves it, but because it showed the integrity of Prince Harry in the moment, in the sense that if he says that, okay, I'm going to recuse myself to allow you make the decision independently, and I will go along with whatever you say, then if the board went around and thought, you know what, I am OBE, you are MBE. There are a lot of OBEs and MBEs on the Invictus board, right? Now that we are getting pressure to bring the Invictus Games to the UK, we would not be being loyal if we didn't do it. So they went ahead to do it. Harry had nothing to do with it. What I am hoping for is that when the Invictus Games comes to the UK, that they put double, triple security on everything, communications, the works, every step of the situation. Even if it means that they have to simplify the games, let them do that, because if they could do this to small Sentebale, imagine what they are planning to do to the Invictus Games. And this actually is a wake-up call for squaddies as well, because for the longest time I have been sounding the alarm to say these people have reach, they have reach, they have reach. For those people who keep on saying, oh, Charles is a toothless lion, please wake up. Everything is not the way it looks. These people have a lot more power and influence than you can imagine. But I'll leave it there. Those who understand do understand. Those who don't, you find yourself continually shocked by things like this. All right, so let's move on to the next thing, shall we? But one thing I found interesting about this time when all of this is happening is that King Charles is said to be suffering from the side effects of his cancer treatment, and he has now been admitted to hospital oversight or over these side effects. This cancer or non-cancerous, no, okay, it wasn't him who said he had cancerous cells, it was the other one. But this cancer that he says he has, um, but was still able to do things that most cancer patients cannot do. Well, I guess they have to do something to make the illness seem believable, right? From time to time. But I just found it interesting that this piece of news is coming out at this time. And if you watch the movement of the rest of the royal family, okay, um, first of all, I would say I found it interesting that all of this is happening just before the launch of Meghan's podcast. What they tried to do before the launch of With Love Meghan, the docuseries, was William went on tour, but nobody even twitched in his direction, not to talk about doing a full turn. So now, just before the launch of the podcast, they're pulling this. And first of all, you've got Prince Harry's story with Sentebale, and now you've got King Charles being admitted to hospital. So the plan is to overshadow the launch of Confessions of a Female Founder. I have to say, in a way, it's kind of working because I'm here talking about this story for the second or the third day in a row. Meanwhile, Meghan is on her Instagram quietly posting the behind the scenes of how her jam gets produced and some of the behind the scenes that didn't make it to the final cut of the With Love Meghan, the episode 1 series. So, thing is, we need to make a decision. I think it's just that it's a bit difficult when things are trending not to talk about them. But if you've got any suggestions on how we can tackle it and push back against these stories which are trying to overshadow Meghan's launch, let me know in the comments. Maybe we can take your suggestions and do something with them. But you can clearly see that the whole point of all of this is to overshadow the launch of Meghan's businesses. Hey, Lottie, how are you doing? Lottie says this is not the first time Sophie tried to get near Harry. Harry knew what was happening, and I just believe that he told Meghan to ask her to move. And even if he didn't, even if Meghan, the wife is always the guardian of her husband. A woman is not just there to be passive and watch things happening before her very eyes. Even if she did notice what Sophie was doing, and she said to Sophie, "Oh, move, 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 move. It's not a problem." She didn't beat you up. She wasn't rude to you. She just simply said, move. And she has the right to say, I want to stand close to my husband as we're doing this. So, CL says he's not sick. It's a lie. Meghan's launch is coming soon. We've seen this story before. This is exactly the thoughts that came to my mind. I was like, in the UK, I don't think that there will be any story bigger than the king is ill because it triggers stories. It triggers thoughts of him passing away, which would then lead to like the funeral and everything shuts down. So anytime anything happens when there's a monarch who is not well, it takes, I don't know whether it's morbid fascination or whatever it is that you want to call it. But yeah, literally everything stops. And to prove the point, King Charles has been trending all day. Since this news broke, he has been trending since then, non-stop. Over 25,000 people are talking about the same thing on social media, and it far overshadowed even the talk about what's happening with Sentebale, and not to talk about what Meghan is doing on her social media page. I think they were just really sick of seeing Meghan take the headlines, and this was their counterstroke against all of that. Mm. Um, but most what I wanted to say also was that I think that Sophie, um, she just got caught up in herself. She forgot who she was. She thought that because she was hanging with Prince Harry, she was, in going to hanging with the 1% of the 1%, going to places where they go to, and she thought that she could do what is necessary for Sentebale. But the only reason why Sentebale was able to achieve what they did was because Prince Harry and Prince Seeiso were with Sentebale, and she's going to find out. It might take a while because I think all the money they raised is still with Sentebale. And she's got new trustees now, so she's probably got people to do her bidding. But it's all going to come out in the wash, right? It might take a few years, but we will see it happen. The petty side of me wishes that Prince Harry and Prince Seeiso will go back and register a new charity with the name Forget Me Not. And do exactly the same thing and take over all the sponsors of their events and all the objectives of the work that they were doing, and just leave her with the empty shell that she wants to do. What do you guys think of that idea? Do you think that Harry and Princess should start a new charity with the name Forget Me Not? I mean, forget about the name. They can choose whatever they want to leave Sentebale. Should they register a new charity and with their own people, with their own board of trustees? That would be another way of them achieving the same goal. I'm sure that is even happening as it is. Listen, you guys are going to call me a prophet. When you see that Prince Harry and Princess have registered an entirely new charity with a different name entirely, with the same board of trustees who had to leave Sentebale. Forget about the money. They can raise that money all over again because of their high profile. Anyway, guys, so yeah, the story is still developing. She is saying that she doesn't want to say much for now. Um, all all she's interested in is in the is for the good of the charity itself, that some people are being, basically she was trying to imply that Prince Harry was being a victim, although she didn't call him by name. But who else has been having beef with the media except for Prince Harry? So it was quite clear that she was referring to Prince Harry there. Well, anyway, we're going to be watching. um and I think this is just life. What I learned from this, and I think Prince Harry will learn from this also, is, which is a shame, but I think that's just the way life is. When you're working with people, don't lean all the way in. It's just what it is. Don't lean all the way in. I would be curious to know how he met Sophie. I would be very curious to know how he met her. I would be curious to know how he was first introduced to her, who introduced her to him, because I think that at Prince Harry's level, he would only really work with people he was introduced to. So, how did they meet? It'd be interesting to know. And if she had been with Sentebale for since 2009, which is almost, I think, 16 years now, and she was okay originally, as somebody who was working in the background. But as soon as she came to the front, she became a nightmare. What changed? How did she become corrupted? What changed? Anyway, guys, that's all I have for now. I will be keeping you updated as this matter progresses because it's a very serious one and it's a very sensitive one as well. It's a very emotional one, and I think that if it's not handled properly, it could go sideways and impact the rest of Prince Harry's life, everything that he has built. So I think he's going to be handling it very, very, very carefully. Meanwhile, our girl Meghan is carrying on with the launch of her businesses like nothing is happening. So let's go back and support her on Instagram, like her pages and so on. If you have any comments, leave them for me in the comment section. That's all I have for this evening, guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you don't miss any updates. And thanks for tuning in as always. Until next time, this is Wheezy signing off. Ciao.